Conversations with Dr. Brenda begins its new season on Mondays at 10 a.m. On this episode of Conversations with Dr. Brenda, a conversation with Diane Wilder. Now here's Dr. Brenda.
Welcome to Conversations with Dr. Brenda Goudot. I am so blessed that you are joining me today, and I'm thrilled to introduce to some and present to others a dear daughter of mine that I love so very much, and she is a part of our conversation today. She is our conversation today. Her name is Diane Wilder. Welcome, Diane. Diane Wilder
Hi, Mom.
Been a blessing to our ministry for many years. And I think I can kind of remember one of the first times I met her, I believe it was in the South Campus. Mm-hmm. And she came and visited and told us how, I forgot how she came to the church, but I was just thrilled. She just jumped right in, and she's a very intricate part of how holding Pastor and my hands up to make a difference. And so we're glad to have a conversation. We got history, Diane. We got history. We got things that we can share with others and that others can be blessed by our time together. So welcome, Diane. Welcome.
Thank you, Mom, for allowing me today. I really feel honored just to be in the presence with you in a conversation. So
Amen.
Love you much, and you know that.
I do know that. And I remember all the different times you try to take me out and just bless me, and really good. Some of them places I don't need to be eating all that, but we've had some good times. And you pour your love, and that love came from somewhere. So we want to talk about, a little bit about yourself. Can you take your time and tell us about Diane and how you came to be a part of Calvary, or just some of your history, where you're born, where you're from? Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was, as you know, my name is Diane Wilder. I was born in Los Angeles, raised in Oakland. My mother and father separated when I was young. So we moved to Oakland, and that's where I was actually raised at. Met my husband, which has passed away 16 years ago. We were married 26 years before he passed away. I have 2 children, a son and a daughter. I have 3 grandkids and 3 great-grandchildren. So anyway, I came to Calvary after my husband passed away. I lived in Stockton at the time because that's where he was working. I moved from Oakland to Stockton, and I watched Pastor on TV. And before I moved to Sacramento, I had been a member of my previous church for 18 years. So I watched Pastor, and I needed something different. My pastor had gotten, a little bit elderly or seasoned, I guess I should say. And, I needed something different. I just needed more excitement. I think more, just to encourage me more. That's what I needed. Mm-hmm. And so I watched Pastor on TV. I came to the South Campus, and probably about the second or third time I joined, because I'm not a church hopper. So I went from that church to this one, and I've been here. So I came to the North Campus because I just was mesmerized, I think, by when I come to the North Campus. I'd sit in the audience and, just because I came from a little Baptist church, you know what I mean? So this was a lot of different for me. So anyway, and then, I did. I got involved. I started. I didn't know how to join anything.
Okay, right. You hadn't been needing to. You've been part of that for those years.
Yeah. I joined the choir way back when Fred Hammond came. That's
that was a long time ago.
Yeah, the bookstore. I worked at the bookstore, and then I don't know. I got connected to the Godot family. I actually got connected to the family, and I came to you because my mother had said I was like at church all the time. So I just said I needed to step down from something because my grandson said to me, Mom, why is mother always asleep? And I'm like, what? So anyway, I started paying more attention to her.
Right.
And that year was actually the year that she passed away. So I was glad that I came to you and asked you, and you said my family was my first ministry. So I stayed with my mom. Actually, I got hired here just prior to mom passing away. So I looked at it as God was really setting me up to have something to do because when she was gone, because she lived with me. My mother had lived with me, believe it or not, my whole marriage. She lived with me the whole 20 years.
Wow.
Never got in my business. People don't believe that, but she never, and she was always on his side anyway,
Right. They do that.
So now here I am. I've been here since 2013 working.
2013. Yeah, I kind of remember. I think you came and you just started volunteering. You started volunteering for the staff and helping us out. And I don't think it was long at all before opening came open, and you stepped right in and have been truly a blessing in so many areas. Not only the job that you do for us in finance and accounting, but all the women events. You're just, you just get involved and you just make things happen. You just are, as you say, kind of behind the scenes, but you're, but I tell you, ministry is no joke, Diane, and I just so thankful to have you on the team since 2013. But because when you jump in, you also jump into some of the different types of, criticisms or attacks or the different things that come with it. So I love everybody that love us because y'all have had to go through something just like we go through to make things happen. And that when you said you got mesmerized kind of when you saw the North, all that comes with, all kind of different things for us to be still doing what we do, but we love what we do. We love the beautiful people God sends us. And we're so glad that you wasn't no church hopper because you would have hopped. You would have hopped by now. Because it's real, but God is so good. So, so it's just like kind of when you say you came from Los Angeles to Oakland. So how many years did you live in Oakland?
I grew up in Oakland. From a child, probably 9 or 10 years old, till I moved from Oakland when I met Sid, my husband, and my sister-in-law were friends. We worked together. That's how I met him. Okay. And he lived in Stockton because he had already moved from Oakland to Stockton. Okay. And so I didn't move till, I was in my 20s when I moved to Stockton from Oakland. I graduated from Oakland High, so I lived right in that area, East 14th, around by Highland Hospital. That's where I lived.
Okay, all right. So I came from Michigan to Oakland. My whole family came in on with that wood grain station wagon. Brought up. It was 7 kids at the time, and mom and dad, and we came cross country to Oakland, and that's where we were. And I was only like 4, and then I left when I was like almost 13 or 14. Came to Sacramento, so we got a little similar there. That Oakland. So you said you were around Highlands.
I went to church in God in Christ. I went to Elder Webb's church when I was a teenager.
Down in Oakland. In Oakland, okay.
Charles Webb,
yeah. Well, I went to Ephesians. I don't know if you heard of Ephesians.
I did.
Yeah, that was Church of God in Christ as well. And so we loved E.E. Cleveland, and I grew up with Tremaine. We went to children's ministry together, and all the Ernestine Reams. I was at her wedding and being a part of their life, and before we came to Sacramento. So there's a lot of wonderful things that God has done. Just being involved in different church backgrounds and different ministries. So that's kind of how we kind of have some similarities. We lived, Pastor talks about it real bad, how that we moved so much. He said we were gypsies. We lived on 11th Street in Oakland, and that's West Oakland.
Yeah, I lived in West Oakland in the beginning, down by Defirmary Park.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
I lived on 8th Street.
Oh, wow. Okay. So we lived on 11th Street. So that's not too far. And then from there, looks like we might have moved to Hayward for a while. And then Hayward, we came back to East 14th, 71st Street in East Oakland. I went to Lockwood and elementary. And then from there, I went to Woodrow Wilson. So I ended up in North on Genoa Street. Yeah, North Oakland. So we moved quite a bit before moving to Sacramento and several places in Sacramento. So Pastor talked about it real bad about moving all the time, but we got a little history. As you grow up, you find out you got to pay the rent to stay in certain places. So we found out a lot going on. We didn't know about his kids, but God is good and he took care of us. So, but I just love your spirit to serve and what God put in you through your time in the different churches. So where do you feel like you got some of that? Said you served your mom. Your mom was living with you. I know how much you love your mom. I mean, you talk about her so much, and I remember her beautiful smile, and she's an awesome woman. Where do you think you got some of that servanthood from?
You know what? I don't know. Because I don't know. I just think that I like to treat people the way I want to be treated. Now I know sometimes, like I say, my facial expressions.
Yeah, we're working on that. We're working on that.
I'm working on it. There you go. I'm still a work in progress.
No, you're awesome. Yeah. Okay.
But I don't know. I really don't. I'm a giver. I guess that's the best way I can say that. I'm a giver, and I do know that givers don't think like takers, and takers don't think like givers. So I am truly a giver. I will give you the shirt off of my back. That's to the extent that I would go. But
okay.
But if you really hurt me, and I have been hurt, I could probably drop you like a hot potato.
Really? Okay. We're having a conversation now, so we're talking about that. Well, I don't know. I even with that given heart, we've been around each other for many years, and we've all been hurt in different areas. But your love is so strong, Diane. You could probably drop like a hot potato, but love won't let you to, it may, it's one thing to, if the hot potato it's got to be, it's got to be some distance. Okay. You love people from a distance. Okay. You love with a long handle spoon.
That's it. I was about to say that.
Right. Because your
love I won't probably allow you to do me that same way. And I mean, I could still talk to you and, communicate with you. I just won't allow you.
Yeah. Well, you have to be wise. There's, it ain't in the Bible, but it talks about if a snake bites you, shame on me if he bite me once, but shame on them if they bite me once, but shame on me if he bite me again. Okay. Like I said, that ain't in scripture, but I'm sure we can find something,
No, but it also says to guard your heart though.
Oh, for sure. Oh, definitely. Right.
Well, I'll go with that one.
Okay. Well, like you said, you treat people the way you want them to treat you. But unfortunately, everybody's not going to treat us, because most people, and we know hurting people hurt other people. Right. So that's what helps me get through. That's how I can be in ministry, pastoring for 41 years and married for 48 years. It's just you can get hurt along the way, but you got to realize when somebody's trying to hurt you, or if they purposely do it, and you just gotta, love is so big. We talked about this a little bit before the broadcast. Love is so big, and God is love, and God is in us. So there's something that helps us, compels us to just look. Jesus was such a great example. And when he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They know not what they do. And there's something that we have to hold on to, that, because we got to shut down our heads, because our head said they know exactly what they did, and then you want to look at it from that flesh standpoint. And if you go that way, you're going to, not be walking in love, because it'll cause you to just keep things in front of you. But love believes all things. Love hopes all things. Love endures all things. And love is a big word, huh?
Right. It is. It is.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I think, to me, my thought on it is, it's easier to love than not to.
Yeah.
Because you have to really fight to not, you know what I mean? It's easier to just give and do. I think sometimes that's how I feel. That it's just easier than to be all stressed out. You know what I mean? It's just easier to let it go, love and move on. You don't have to stay in that place.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to love it, but like you said, you need to go with the easy road. See, because the easy road is who you are. You're born of God. He that loveth not knoweth not God, because God is love. So there's a love that God gives us that is just, it's huge. And so it's easy for us to walk in that love. It's harder for us to walk in hate, because it does mess with us. It messes with us physically, mentally, it messes with our personality, our continence, it just is not easy. It's easier just to just say, you know what, Lord, that's your problem. That's your child, and I'm going to keep doing what I'm called to do, so that I can get through this journey and help the people along the way, and not let other people mess up what you started in me. And that's who we're made in. We're made in his image, in his likeness. And that's what I see in you. And that's what I see in you. You are a giver. So, anytime something like that happens, that's how we have to look at it, is hurting people hurt others. Why would they try to hurt me? Is because they're hurting. And this is some kind of way that maybe make them think they feel better, but it doesn't make them feel any better. They're just hurting. And we just try to ask God to help us, if they're in our life for whatever reason, to just be able to show his love. And his love never fails.
And I have to work my way through things. I do that. I work my way through. I may not have a resolution right then, but I work my way through.
Right. And that's where David told us, my word have I hid in my heart. Thy word have I hid in my heart, that I don't sin against you. His word comes available. And I know people don't like to talk to me sometimes, because I always got a word for you. But that is my life. That's how we live. That's how we make it through life. We have to apply the word. So I hide the word. And one of my favorite scriptures is Psalms 119, 165. It says, great peace have they that love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. Great peace, because I love thy law, because his law is my medicine. His law is my pathway. His word is a lamp unto my feet and a light to my pathway. And it's the same for you. And so that's how I get through some of the different things. Without the word, I would probably hurt somebody. And I'm a sweet where everybody know I'm sweet. But we all got that side that could look ugly, but that is not easy for us. That's that other nature that we don't have anymore. So that's why we work at it. Like you said, we work at it. Right. So you got children, and And we talked a little bit about our moms that are both uh, in heaven right now. And you were blessed to have your mother into your 60s.
Hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
She's been dead like 7 years.
Oh, 7 years. See, and so I was only like 42 when my mother passed.
Mhm.
So it was difficult, but I think when I look at it, I'm so glad that I had her as long as I did, because my mother was trying to check out long before, we released her to go. And she had a little, she was only 69 when she passed, so that's
Mhm.
right around our age.
Mhm.
So that's way too young, especially the good woman she was. So I had to know the Lord and help, and pray. How does a good person like my mom? I mean, she, from my understanding, she never smoked, she never drank, she never cursed, she never did anything that I knew that was out, other than just doing too much and not taking care of herself, having 9 children, and not knowing, maybe having the funds to be able to get the help that she needed or to take the time. So, but I loved her, and she loved me, and she loved the Lord. She loved the Word. So I have to release, that I know that, my way of helping me get through it, because I say she lived to her 60, she lived into her 70th year, because I always thought, coming up, if they lived to be 70, those were the years that God promised. And I didn't want her to be short of the years, at least, that
Mhm.
the Lord promised her. So so when she passed, a few months from there, she would have been 70. But way too young, especially now that we right there on the brink. Now we know that we don't look to no 70 to be ready
Right.
to check out. We know that we can live long life. Long life then was basically to 7. That's how our
Mhm.
mindset kind of was. And so
Mhm.
your mother lived many years. How old was she?
95. She was 95.
5.
She was 95, still took no medication, still walked up and down the stairs. Um, but the word you used that I stayed with me just a minute ago was released. You released her,
Yeah.
and that is very important. You have to release. You don't know that until you've been that route. You know what I mean? I
Right.
had to release my mother, and I knew she was holding on for me. I'm the youngest girl, and
Okay.
um, I have one younger brother, but I'm the youngest girl. And
Mm-hmm.
one of my older sisters told me during the time, well, after my mom passed, that my mother would always tell her that she was always worried about me, because once she left, I would be alone, because she lived with me. She lived with me
Okay.
through my husband passing away and in the whole bit. So her concern was always about me, leaving me alone. You know what I mean? My children are grown.
Right.
If I got grandkids and great grandkids, they're old. So anyway, but my daughter lives right around the corner from me. I could walk to her house in 15
Okay.
minutes,
Mm,
walking,
right.
probably 2 minutes driving,
Mhm.
and she keeps in contact with me. My son is the oldest, and he lives now in Elk Grove. He was still in Stockton for a long while, but he's in Elk Grove now. So they're
Okay.
both with her. She just wants me to stay right by her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen. So you got
She's a
a
good girl.
beautiful, yeah. So they got that love for you that you have for your mom. And we talked about a little bit about how you don't know some of the things that they're going. So she wanted to stay here to make sure you were okay. And that,
Mhm. Mhm.
and so until you released her,
Mhm.
but yeah, when they go through different challenges in their bodies, and that God's been good to them. I tell the story how my mom would go to the doctor, and the doctor would look at her chart. He's like, Willie Mae, you still here? Because they had gave up on her, so we prayed
Mhm.
and kept her, but she chose when she was ready, and of course we had to go ahead and release her. But I was telling you a little bit about her story, where at 21 her mother passed,
Mhm.
and it was such a tragic way, and such a tragic way. We're just finding out, I'm jumping just a little bit, we're just finding out what happened in 1921, the whole Black Wall Street thing, and a whole lot of history that a lot of people just didn't talk about. And so my dad was born in 1921. And so my mother, they were kind of in that kind of stage of, they didn't talk a lot about different things. So if you don't dig in to get certain kind of history, you just don't know. And so that was very enlightening for me. I don't know if you knew about it before.
I did not. I didn't even hear about that in school. So I was like, wow.
You didn't hear it in school, and so it was, but then and a lot of them didn't talk about it because some things they didn't talk about, but it's really
a lot they did. That generation, Mom, didn't talk about a lot.
Exactly.
Right now, when I call the bank and they say, well, what is your mother's maiden name? Well, look at here. I said, okay, it's Broadway or Harris. Gave me two. She never explained. And so I don't know which one I gave you. But a lot of stuff they took to the grave. My mother didn't tell us a lot. So they kept a lot of now like I said, my older sister, she knows a lot because she's 80, so she's older than me, but she be telling me different things, because for a long time I thought my mother, because during that generation they did the censors as the birth dates.
Okay.
Yeah. And so when my mother was in I thought she was in her 80s. And so I'm telling I'm talking to my sister, and she goes, how is mother in her 80s? You and your 60s, the youngest. You know what I mean? There's father above you. And she had to have time to get a baby. You know what I mean? She's just telling me that. So I'm thinking, oh my God, I had all my kids. Mother's really, and she's really, not in her 80s. She's in her 90s. I didn't know that. She didn't never. She just said, Diane, you talk too much. She always used to tell me that you talk too much. But when I started taking her to the doctors, I had to, because they're looking at her charts, and I'm telling you that she missed that 10-year cycle. When they only count it every 10 years. She was born in leap year 1929.
1929.
So she was, born on a leap year. They didn't count her. So they kept saying she was in her 80s. Well, we could do surgery because no. She in her 90s. So I had to, even with Social Security, they had the wrong dates. You know how they have the wrong dates. But that 10-year cycle when they would just only count, because they had their names in the Bible. You know what I mean? That was their birthday. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, we got some history.
That was, at the end of her time, I had to really, tell the doctors, no, she's really, because I'm at this point, I'm, like I said, in my early 60s. I got a sister that's 80. You know what I mean? The one that's 80 now is one over her, Wow. But she's the oldest is over in her 80s. And how you gonna tell my mama 80? She can't be. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Wow. So those are the kind of things that they were really kind of silent about. And so I didn't know, that in my mother, again, I'm telling you, my mother never told us how her mother died at 21. She got married at 19 to my dad, and her mother died at 20 when she was 21. And so her mother had several friends, or I should say, because all my aunts, my mother and my two aunts all had different fathers. And so my mother's dad is Will. It was Will Dow, from what I understand. And so and she's named Willie Mae after her dad. But as my aunt told the story, her dad is the one who killed her mother. And it was just, I could see where it's just too hard for her to talk about it. And so my mother never, ever let that come out of her mouth. We as kids, all of us grown, going on about our lives. But to me, it's history. It's something. And, but dad was trying to be a little tough, but I think he knew he better not mess with Willie Mae, because she might have a little blood in it from Will. So I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, but
Well, I'm a product of that. My mother I talk about my sisters,
mhm,
but the only mother father together is me and my younger brother.
okay.
My other sisters have different fathers than me. My mother had them when she was back in Louisiana. She
Mhm,
left 3 children there to come to California to do better for her.
mhm,
My dad was probably her last husband, and my daddy was
okay.
a Rolling Stone. I'll say it like that.
Uh-uh.
Los
Okay.
Angeles. So I was kind of glad I wasn't in Los Angeles because I said I may date my brother and don't know it. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
It was,
right.
and then
Mhm,
when my dad got sick, my dad always liked younger women. So
mhm,
me and him kind of sometimes clash because
mhm,
I'm looking at you like, like, you know what I mean? I got a daughter, you know.
mhm,
Uh,
mhm,
but
mhm,
as it turned out, my daddy always said, "Well, I got 21 kids." Well, that's not. And I said, "That's not cute." You know what I mean?
mhm,
It's not cute. But as it turned out, one of them young women sent him to my house. He actually came. This was during my husband time was alive. He got a bus here. I guess she must have sent him on the bus,
mhm,
and he went to the cab took him to Del Monte, which is where my husband worked in
mhm,
Stockton. It was a plant in Stockton,
mhm,
and
mhm,
so the secretary called my husband and said, this guy here said he's your father-in-law. This was before my husband even had left home to go to work. And sure enough, it was. Well, my mother and my dad really didn't get along. So I had
mhm.
an older brother that I had to have him to stay at my house because I didn't want mama to kill him. You know what I mean? I just
Okay.
didn't. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? 'Cause daddy said,
mhm,
"Oh, woman, you need to fix my plate." Then I'm not your woman. You know what I mean? Mama was like that. You know what I mean? Here you
okay.
are and then had other women. That's why she
Mhm.
wasn't with you in the first place. And then you gonna come and act like nothing never
Yeah,
happened. So it was hard
right.
on me. It was hard on me. My
Mhm,
daddy loves sweets, and I make cake. So if I made a
mhm,
cake, mama would say, "Oh, you like your dad?" I'm like, "Oh
mhm,
Lord." I had
mhm,
to have my brother to come and stay while I be going to work. You know what I mean? Because it was
mhm,
really hard on me. Mama
mhm,
had, so I found out. Maybe that's a way I found out because I found out that my mom had harbored all of that in her heart with
mhm,
him for
mhm.
years, and I
Wow.
mean years. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
And I think that's how I learned how to not hold on to nothing, and that nothing
mhm,
fester in me. Let it
mhm,
go. You know what I mean? I
mhm.
worked my way through it and I let it go
That's good.
because I saw her hold on all them years, 40 years of pain that
Mm.
she held on to for him.
No.
You
Wow.
know what I mean? And then he
Mhm.
come and he act like he don't even, woman, what you talking about? It's like he don't even know what you. So I learned then that you know what a person do to you, you hold on to it. They don't even know what they done. They don't
Exactly.
even know. He was
Mhm,
like, what are woman? He
mhm.
said this, woman, what you talking about?
Wow. Right?
And she held on to all that pain for 40 years.
Mhm,
And I think that's probably what I don't let nothing
mhm.
fester in me. Cause you know what, I know it'll age you.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly. And that's what I was kind of bringing it up. From our mothers, we learn what to do and we
Mm,
learn what not to do. They
mm,
taught us a lot of good things and they told us what to put up with and what not to put up with.
mhm,
And so we were very blessed to have them. So you say your mother's born 1929 and my brother's
mhm,
born 1925.
mhm,
So she would have lived a longer life. She would have been, but around that time, there was a lot of questions. They just didn't do a lot of talking. So, we have to, share with our children and talk with them certain things, that I'm sure we have some things that they don't need to hear, some things, but hopefully we're a little more open in certain areas. We got to help this generation. We got to help the children. We got to really help them get closer to God and understand who God is and how he's kept us, and that we can be mothers and we can be grandmothers and we can be great grandmothers, that we're still here to be able to do that. And it's only because of the love of God that is in our hearts. We all got history. We all got things that have gone on in our lives, but God has been good to us, and we're here to continue to make a difference. So our theme at Calvary is everybody gives, everybody serves, everybody loves, and everybody honors. And as Pastor always said, if we get all those 4 things down, continually give, continually serve, love, and honor, it'll keep our hearts right. It'll keep us healthy, and not holding on to bitterness, because things can definitely get under our skin if we allow them to. But God loves us. So we're kind of coming to the close, Miss Diane. This has really been good. I thank God for bringing you our way and allowing you to be able to spend this time with me. Your love is so big, and I haven't been able to express, how much I appreciate what you've given to me and Pastor, supporting us and loving us and praying for us, and just being there to understand all through the different things that we go through as a ministry, because it is no joke. But God is so good, and we see all the good things along with the things that will try to defeat us. But with God, we always triumph in Christ. And so it's because of faithful people like yourself that are not church hoppers.
Right.
You might hop from the north to the south and south to the north, but that's okay.
I live in the north now, so I don't go to the south often.
Right. So that works out really good. So as we're closing, Diane, what would you like to leave with our audience? What would you like to pass on to those that are listening today?
Don't hold on to grudges. Don't let that fester in you. I could tell a personal story where it proved for me. As I said, I was married for 26 years. My husband wasn't the most faithful person, but I stayed. And because I felt like I know once the house get broken up, when the man leaves, it's always your mama want, your mama need, your mama called me. You forget that the kids is his. So I felt like I asked everything I wanted to ask. And I drove around, screamed and hollered. I think I say I healed me, but I know with God, because at the time, again, I was at my Baptist church, and my pastor said, Sister Wilder, you just need to bring him to church. That's all he could tell me. And that wasn't good enough for me. It just wasn't at the time. And so I felt like I didn't want to live, and I'm not racially prejudiced any kind of way, but I just said I wasn't going to live in an apartment with the Vietnamese. That was just my statement. That was my statement. Okay. And so my husband was an excellent provider. And so I stayed. But as it turned out, and I'm not saying that this is why it happened, I don't know. Like I said, I asked him everything I wanted to ask, but I never, ever threw it in his face again. Never, ever. I wasn't one of them that, every time something happened, I threw it in his face. I did it because I knew if I did that, it was going to age me. Okay. If I didn't, it aged him. So, you know what I mean? Because then he couldn't really say nothing to me or ask me what I was doing because of what he had done. You know what I mean? So he really couldn't, and I would always tell him, you don't have to worry about where I'm at. All you got to do is come to the church. That's where I'm going to be. That's where I'm going to be. It's not like I'm hopping up the bar hopping, that, And he would just say stuff to me sometime when I'd be getting dressed for church, but then I was a little more hippie than what I am now, a little more, I'm struggling.
I saw some of the pictures.
Struggling pulling stuff up, and he laying and looking, and I'm thinking, okay, I got to stop getting dressed in here because it's probably an ugly sight. You know what I'm saying? No. But as it turned out, to this day, and I'm not saying it in a bragging way, but till this day, he's still taking care of me.
Okay, that's good. Amen.
So I tell women, I just, I had a conversation with a young lady last week, and I just told her, if you back home with him, don't throw it in his face, because then you become a nagger. You know what I mean? And, then you the one going to be looking all aged and old, and, don't be looking moping around the house. Girl, look in the mirror, have him to wonder, what you doing? You said it's the end. Okay, Mom.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I don't want to go down that route, but anyway, I do. I think that's probably where I get not holding on, because to me it makes you ugly. You know what I mean?
That's good.
And easier just to let it go, do what you got to do, confront it. That's what I did. I mean, I ain't gonna tell y'all I did, jumped on, broke all my nails. I did all of that. I did. I did.
Right.
I did. Took his gun to his job and tell him I was gonna shoot him and everybody else up in it. I did all of that. But
you did all that. Oh, yeah.
I did. I took his gun to his job. And told him it was in my purse.
Okay. But the Lord didn't let it. He didn't let you.
I don't even know how to shoot it, Mom. That's the thing, But I'm big bad, Here I come with my big purse and the gun. So there it is.
That's why you gotta let it go. That's why you gotta let it go.
I let it go.
Yeah, that's why you let it go, because you end up doing things that you don't, it's out of your character. But if you let it fester, you just kind of get out of your mind. You just kind of get out of your mind.
Tell my kids that oops is always too late.
Yep. So that's good. That's good wisdom. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let's love like God gave us the ability through Jesus to love and to forgive, but it is easier said than done. So
it is easier said than done.
That's why the scripture says we work out our soul salvation with fear and trembling. I do it because the word says it. May not understand it. I may not really feel it right now, but I'm walking by faith and not by sight, and I'm gonna let things go. Okay. So thank you for sharing with us. I believe it's going to be a blessing to those that are listening, something that they grab from this, that we're women of faith, and we're women that love God, and the Lord has blessed us to reach this time in our lives. And we're here to help those who are going through different things, to know how to love and let the love of God be seen in and through our lives. So thank you, Diane, for sharing your blessing. Keep being the blessing God has called you to be. And we celebrate you and love you. All right. Thank you, guys. All right. Thank you all for listening and joining Diane and I in our conversation. And we look forward to seeing you on next time with Conversations with Dr. Brenda. Thank you again, Diane, and all you that are watching. We love you. See you next time.